gotta go. I've got to find a mezuzah. Yeah. She says, I must have been calling the wrong number. Whatever. And I don't know the other one, so if you want to point them out to me.
No, that's it. The next time we have a meeting,
That's fine.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm Rabbi Joanne Loyvin, and I'm joined tonight by Cantor Lisa Siegel, Rabbi Gail Pomerantz, and our guest rabbi, Talit Shavitz, who we will get properly introduced to and hear from later in the service. This week's Torah portion is Parshat Bo, which ends just as the Israelites quickly gather their belongings to hurry out of Egypt toward freedom. Their destination, the land of Israel. This week begins our ancient ancestors' journey towards the Promised Land. This portion is fitting for this evening as we turn our hearts east and welcome our visitors who have made the trek halfway across the world from the state of Israel to be here with us tonight. As we take a moment to welcome each other this Shabbat, I invite you to ask around who has been to Israel, and if you find someone who's been, ask them to share a story or share a story yourself if you have been about a Shabbat experience in Israel. I invite you to do so now. We begin Shabbat with the Shabbat blessings of candles and Kiddush. And for the honor of doing so, I would like to invite up our Bremen Fellow, Sophia Arlen, and our Clasp Fellow, Seth Cohen. Please turn to page 2. More of our teens have arrived, so they're also invited up for this blessing and honor.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik shel Shabbat.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
We turn to the Kiddush on page 5.
And there was evening, and there was morning, the 6th day. The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the 7th day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the 7th day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the 7th day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all work of creation that God had done.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, be'ahava uvratzon, inchilanu, zikaron, lemahaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tehila, lemikra'e kodesh, zecher letziat mitzrayim, ki banu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim ve'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava uvratzon inchaltanu baruch atah Adonai v'kadesh hashavat.
L'chaim. We're so grateful to have our teens with us this evening. We continue now with Kabbalat Shabbat on page 12 for Lechuna Ranana.
So beginning with, well, this whole evening, you're going to hear a lot of music, our musical prayers written by Israeli composers. So that's going to be woven in throughout the entire service. And we're going to begin Lechuna Ranana, beginning with our traditional Nusach, Hatefillah, the traditional chant, going into an American melody, and then flipping into how some Reform communities in Israel sing Lechuna Ranana. Lechuna Ranana is on page 12. Lechuna Ranana l'Adonai Nahariya Letzor Yishenu Lechuna Ranana l'Adonai Nahariya Letzor Yishenu Nekad Mafana V'Toda Bizmiro Nariya Lo Lechona Ranana l'Adonai Nariya Letzor Yishenu Nekad Mafana V'Toda Bizmiro Nariya Lo. And in Israel, you might hear it like this. Lechuna Ranana l'Adonai Nariya Letzor Yishenu. Let's try that. Lechuna Ranana l'Adonai Nariya Letzor Yishenu. Next part. Nekad ma'afana b'toda bizmiro Nariya Lo. One more time. Nekad ma'afana b'toda bizmiro Nariya Lo. From the top. Lechuna Ranana l'Adonai Nariya Letzor Yishenu. Lechuna Ranana l'Adonai Nariya
The mystics in the northern Israeli city of Sfat, which sits in the hills of the Galilee, used to go out to the hillside on late Friday afternoons, just as the sun would begin to set, to physically and spiritually welcome Shabbat. The city of Rosh Pina, where our Israeli guests come from tonight, is in those same hills, right next to the mystical city of Sfat, where Lecha Dodi was composed. While we sing Lecha Dodi tonight, imagine breathing in that fresh mountain air of the Galilee. We turn to Lecha Dodi on page 20.
Lecha Dodi, as heard at Kol HaNeshama Synagogue in Jerusalem. Lecha Dodi ligrat kala, yalala, 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 b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Lecha Dodi ligrat kala, yalala, 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 b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, kishmi anu el ha-meyuchad.
We turn to the Baruch Hu on page 28.
This is also another melody written by Yoel Sykes from Israel as well. Let's try that together. Once more.
Page 30. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, bechokma poteach sha'arim, uvitvuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono, bore yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, bechoshech mipnei or.
Uma'avir yomri lilayla, umavdil ben yom uben layla, Adonai tzvaot shemo, el chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu, le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim.
We turn to page 32. Please join me in English in the middle of the page. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel.
Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael.
We take a deep breath as we prepare ourselves for the Shema on the next page. Another deep breath. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. You may be seated as we turn to Ve'ahavta on page 36.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לעוד על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
The Micha Mocha is a poignant prayer this week especially, as our ancient Israelites are about to experience their first taste of freedom in our Torah portion. Our prayers for freedom in our country here, in our homeland in Israel, and for our entire world are just as important now as ever before. Please turn to page 40 for Micha Mocha.
By the composer Yosef Hadar, to the tune of Erev Shel Shoshani. Micha Mocha Ba'elim Adonai Micha Mocha Nedar Ba'kodesh Noratehi
We now rise for the Amidah. We will say the words of Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, asking for God to open up our lips on page 46, and then we will continue silently with silent prayer for the rest of the Amidah.
This Kavanah melody written at Beit Tefillah Israeli in Tel Aviv. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya da 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 da, close our Amidah section out with page, page 347. 347 in the back of your book, one of the many beautiful compositions written by the late and great Naomi Shemer from Israel, Al Kol Ele, for the bitter and the sweet. Join me. Al hadvash ve'al ha'oketz, al hamar ve'hamatok, al biteinu hatinoket shmo Eli hatov, al ha'esh ha'mevo'eret, al ha'mayim hazakim, al ha'ish hashav habaita min ha'merchakim, al kol all the things which join as one to make our lives complete. For the future of our children, for our prayer will never cease. For the hope that with tomorrow comes a world of peace. Al kol leileh, shmona li Eli hatov. Al hadvash ve'al ha'oketz, al hamar ve'hamatok, al natakon ha'tuah, al tishkach et ha'tikva, hashiveni ve'ashuva el ha'aretz ha'tova, el ha'aretz ha'tova.
A little over a year ago, Temple Beth Shalom was invited to participate in a new Israeli initiative called Domim, which means alike. It pairs congregations in Israel with congregations in the United States. And since we are a Reform synagogue in the United States, we especially wanted to pair with a Reform congregation in Israel. And with the guidance of the Revos and the Israeli Movement for Progressive Judaism, we chose to pair with a congregation in the very beautiful, very northern city of Rosh Pina, which is also of historic significance in Israel. A few of our temple members, including the Wrestlers, there in the back, and the Grunwalds, and Barb Shemansky, and of course the Revos, have already visited with our partner synagogue in Rosh Pina. Tonight is the first time we welcome representatives of this congregation here to us. Bruchim habaim. Welcome to you. And we want to thank Richard and Susan Zinn as well for your generosity in supporting this project. So some of you have heard me say this before, but when I began my studies at the Hebrew Union College in Jerusalem, when I was 14, no, I'm joking, 35 years ago, I could not tell people that I was studying to be a rabbi because they looked at me like I was insane. Like A, a woman could never be a rabbi, and B, what is Reform Judaism? And we have come so far because we have now over 50 Reform congregations in Israel, which is really almost miraculous. So I want to introduce you to our guest speaker tonight who will tell you about the situation in her own words, Rabbi Tlalit Shavit. Rabbi Shavit leads this congregation in Rosh Pina, known as Barosh Pluralistic Congregation. She has a bachelor's and a master's degree in Jewish thought and philosophy from Tel Aviv University, which means she has been teaching around Israel for the past 30 years. But 9 years ago, she was ordained by the Hebrew Union College in Jerusalem. And she began leading the Gilboa congregation, and then later now, the Rosh Pina congregation for the past 2.5 years. She was born on Kibbutz Sdot Yam, and her journey of spiritual welcoming is one of deep personal connection, of welcoming and connecting the personal, the inside, to the outside. She and her husband, Steve, have a daughter, Ayelet, who is a medic in the IDF. And actually, she's home from the Army right now, and you're not even there with her. I'm sorry, you're here with us. And tonight, she is accompanied by a lay leader of the congregation, Dr. Anthony Luter, who has joined us as well. And he is the director of the Ziv Medical Center, the Children's Hospital in Sfat, Israel. And after our services in our own egg tonight, you'll have an opportunity to hear from him, too, about the remarkable work their hospital is doing, not only with the children, but also in treating Syrians who have been injured during the skirmishes and civil war in Syria. We are so happy to welcome you to Temple Beth Shalom as we begin our historic partnership together. Anu me'od smechim lekabel et pnechem lekihilat Beit Shalom likrat hashutfat ההיסטורית שלנו. בואי הנה. Rabbi Shavit.
So this one. Okay. Shabbat Shalom. Oh, I'm so exciting. So I have to say, Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, right? And P. Okay, so first of all, I want to thank Mark and Karen Rivo, dear Mark and Karen Rivo, for your wonderful host, your generosity, and your warm welcome. So without you, we won't be here. And Anthony and me, I mean. And thank you for your friendship. It's great. And thank you, Rabbi Pomerantz, too, and all of you that invite us to come here. I'm very, very happy and very exciting of being here. I'm coming from the pluralistic congregation of Rosh Pina, the most north congregation in Israel. Our community is young and small, but have a large influence in our area. One of our projects called Ashangulit. Do you know what is Ashangulit? Any idea? Ashangulit is a word in Amharic. It means doll, bubot. That's what is meant in Amharic, Ashangulit. This is a new word I just learned not so long ago. And you can see the dolls that we create in the entrance of the building, and I'll be very happy to talk about this project, this special program that we have with Ethiopian Olim that came for Israel. Now I want to tell a little bit about myself and why the connection between the communities is so important for me. I was born, as you said, in Kibbutz Sdot Yam, in a very secular family, and actually all my life I teach Judaism in college and in many Beit Midrash, especially the pluralistic Batei Midrash we have in Israel. But there is two events in my life that's influenced my life very much, and I want to share it with you. The first event was when I gave birth to my daughter Ayelet. And suddenly, I felt so blessed and so happy. And I felt grateful. But I didn't know how to say thank you and to whom to say that. So I opened the Siddur. And I'm looking for, a good prayer for that can suit me. But I couldn't find the words that will express my feeling. So I just sit and wrote a prayer that express me as a woman after give a breath. I wanted to say something about my happiness, my happiness. I was very glad but scared, and all the grateful I felt. And at this time, around this time, I went to visit in the USA. At the first time, I visit in a Reform congregation, synagogue. And when I came inside the synagogue, I really felt that I arrived home. For the first time, I understand every word of the tefillah, of the prayer, and I really can pray with everybody and take part of that. Because my experience from synagogue in Israel was unpleasant before. I always was used to sit very far away. I couldn't hear, I couldn't see anything. And when I came to the Reform synagogue, the first time I felt belonged. So it was very, very exciting for me. And then the rabbi asked me to take the Torah, to hold the book. And for me, it was the first time I really touched the Torah. And I was a teacher for Judaism all my life, yeah? And I remember I hold this book like it was my baby. And all my face was wet from tears, and I couldn't stop crying. And I didn't understand what happened and why I'm acting like that. I just know that I was like, I have no words to tell you what kind of feeling I felt. So in the US, this was the first time I met a rabbi, which was a woman. And suddenly I understand that if you want to be a rabbi, you don't just have to be, with a black hat and a beard. You can be yourself and be a rabbi. And so this experience really caused me to think that maybe I want to be a rabbi. So after a long process and a few years that passed, I decided I wanted to study for a rabbinical school, and I went to HUC in Jerusalem, and it was a very good, very, very good experience. And since then, I'm a rabbi for 9 years, and I know that if I wouldn't come to US and see these congregations, this Reform congregation, this liberal one, I won't be here today. So this is just one story why I think or why I feel that the connection between the congregation are so important, and the connection between Jews at diaspora and Israel is so important, because we can learn from each other so much. And it changed my life. So I'm sure that things like that can change other lives of people. And I just think that during the Talmud period, They were rabbis who were traveling from Israel to Babylon, back and forth. And they brought the Torah of Israel to Babylon and back, and the Torah of Babylon to Israel. And that helped the Jewish people to be one people, yeah, one, and not to have two Torahs, just to connect and to learn from each other. And so I think that now the connection is important more than ever, because we know that now the relationship between the Jews in the diaspora, especially in the US and in Israel, are not always so easy. And we are critical about the policy of the government in Israel and their and their attitude to the legitimate or non-legitimate of the reform stream in Israel and all around. So I think this situation tells us that it's very, very important that we keep in touch and we'll try to learn from each other and support each other. And collaboration is very, very important. So, thank you very much. And it's a great pleasure being with you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Stay here, stay up here.
Okay, bye.
So we have a document that marks our relationship with each other, and it's my privilege to present you with this document that pledges our mutual interest in and support of each other. Zot hazechut shali להציג בפניכם את המסמך הזה שמייצג את האינטרס המשותף שלנו לתמוך אחד בשני. And it says here, דומים alike. And then Rabbi Shavit is going to read this passage from Rabbi Yehuda Halevi in Hebrew.
דרשתי קרבתך, בכל ליבי קראתיך, ובצאתי לקראתך, לקראתי מצאתיך.
With all my heart have I called you, and going out to meet you, I found you coming towards me.
וזאת לתעודה כי הקהילות
We hereby declare that the communities,
בראש פלורליסטי, ראש פינה, ישראל,
קהילת בית שלום, Miami Beach, Florida, Temple Bet Shalom, Miami Beach, Florida, as a partner communities within Project Domim alike, a joint initiative of the Israeli Reform Movement and the Israeli government and the Union for Reform Judaism in North America. The two partnering communities hold reciprocal and steady connections for the sake of cultivating Jewish peoplehood and strengthening the connections between world Jewry and Israel. Rabbi Gail Pomerantz.
הרבת ללית שביט.
And that is it. So I'll show you to our... Okay, Mark.
Oh.
We'll do it after services.
Yeah.
So this will hang in our synagogue as a mark, and all of you are here as witnesses of this exchange. So thank you. Mazal Tov Lanu. So we are going to continue with our Shabbat prayers with the Misha Berach prayer. And many of you are thinking of loved ones in your hearts who need a prayer of healing and hope, or you yourself might need a prayer. So I'll invite you to please rise if you would like us to pray on behalf of a loved one. Thank you. Bobby? Thank you. Thank you. Myrna? India McDonald and Barbara Pomerantz. We think as well about all of those whose names are listed in our program, who are loved ones of members of our congregation or members of our congregation, and of all the Israeli and American soldiers who are being held captive or missing in action. And so we pray for healing and hope for all of them, and we join our voices together on page 253 for Misha Be'era. This is a moment not only where we reflect upon our hurts and pains, but also upon our joys and celebrations. We call this our Shehechianu moment. So I'm going to list a few things, and if I say something that applies to you, I invite you to please rise and stay standing. So true confessions, I Googled this morning, who is playing in the Super Bowl? So, if there are any Kansas City Chiefs fans among us who are rooting for their team and so excited they're in the Super Bowl, did I get it right? Please rise. Not a one. All right, any San Francisco 49ers fans that are excited that their team is in the Super Bowl? Okay, only two. Anybody who has been to Israel in the past year or is planning on going in the coming year, please rise. Anybody who has ever been to Israel, please rise. Anybody who is looking forward to having the Super Bowl over on Monday and having our streets clear out, please rise. So we will sing together our song of gratitude with the words of Shehechianu. I invite you to put your arms around your neck. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu l'zman hazeh. Oh, this melody's from Israel too. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu l'zman hazeh. Invite up any children in our congregation, any who are still with us, who are under the age of 18, please come on up. Okay. Any of my confirmands from last year? You guys got to be under 18. Come on. We're going to turn to page 282 for the Aleinu as we turn to face Yerushalayim. Please open the ark. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'adei gedula yotzer bereshit, shelo asanu k'yeh haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo samchalkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu משתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד You may be seated. It's been said that memory is the sixth sense of the Jewish people. We are always looking backward before we look ahead. Just as Rabbi Loibin said, this week we remember Yetziat Mitzrayim, the exodus from Egypt. We remember creation. We remember, of course, the Holocaust this week, thinking about the 75th anniversary of the redemption of those Jews who survived Auschwitz. We're always remembering. And here at Temple Beth Shalom, it's our custom to remember loved ones by creating plaques with their names on them that we hang in our alcove of remembrance. Tonight, we dedicate a very special plaque in memory of Andrew Jacob Mayerson. And I was reflecting on this because Andrew was a baby who died at the age of 2.5 months in 1953, 67 years ago. And this Shabbat, his family is dedicating this plaque in his memory, which is a way of perpetuating that memory so the memory does not dim and there is a permanent reminder of his life here. And so we dedicate this plaque in memory of Andrew. And as a congregation, we're going to read these words from the poet Hannah Senish, which you'll find in your prayer books on page 291. And they remind us of how the memory of our loved ones is with us long, long after they are gone. And so we read these words together. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. And now I'll ask you to help me dedicate this plaque and for all of us to remember together those who we've loved and lost. I'm going to be sharing a poem with you. The words are not in your prayer book, but you'll recite, "We remember them," at the end of each refrain. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. And at this time, we dedicate this plaque of Andrew Jacob Mayerson, which will go alongside the plaques of all the others in our alcove of remembrance. On this Shabbat, we remember the yort sites of the following individuals whose names will be alongside Andrew's: Katie Astor, Maxwell Berger, Katie Brayman, Talia Browdy, Alexander Brown, Erwin Camp, Anna Dreyer, Rachel Ellenbogen, Ida Glotman, Helene Graham, Morris Greenberg, Jerome Halpern, Erica Henschel, Jean Hershey, A.J. Kaiser, Georgette Kimmel, Shirley Kurzweil, Carol Ween Langer, Rita Levy, Daniel Lifter, Howard Lundy, Tilly Zinneman Myers, Joseph Oleski, Marcia Olin, Stephen Simon Perel, Bill Radin, Morris Rossman, Georgian Broida Serban, Solomon Baruch Shore, Louis Fleischer Snetman, Beatrice Stein, Albert Weil, and Talia Yaffe Stern. And we remember all the other yort sites that are observed on this Shabbat: Oscar Berkson, Anna Dreyer, Anna Esformis, Debbie Friedman, Samuel Gabowetsky, Rose Gross, Art Harris, Reuben Kooten, Uzi Levy, Herbert Litz, Esther Michelle, Florence Miller, Muriel Nash, Lee Pathman, Elisa Rabinovich, Joseph Rose, Alan Rosenbaum, Freda Rubin, Jose Ruiz, Louisa Rutenberg, Anne Schick, Pearl Schlosser, Ivan Selig, Frank Sherman, Robert Slass, Abe Steinberg, Jack Stoller, John Stoll, and Jack Taylor. And of course, we remember those who've died in the last 30 days, whose families remain in the shloshim of their mourning. We think of Bella Goldfarb Lehrman, Seymour Rudenberg, Sid Sharpstein, Marilyn Hellman, Neil Levinson, Doris Oleski, Pearl Rosenberg, Maurice Cornelissen, Sue Rose Samuels, Lois Hildebrandt, Andrea Pollack, and Maurice Glazer. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing to you who love them. If there's anybody in our congregation that is observing a yort site and I did not mention the name or is in a period of mourning, I invite you to please rise and share that name with our congregation at this time. Please. Remain standing. Please remain standing for the Kaddish. Thank you. And I invite our whole congregation to please rise as we turn to page 294. As I mentioned before, this past week, we commemorated the 75th anniversary of the release, the redemption, really, of those Jews from Auschwitz and Birkenau. And so we think about the 6 million men, women, and children whose lives were lost there. We think about the over 24,000 Israelis who died that we might have a Jewish homeland. And we think about our thousands and thousands of American soldiers who have died defending our liberties. And we take them all into our hearts with our own as we thank God for their lives with these words of Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'amlik malchutei, b'chayachon v'yamachon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, b'agala v'yizman v'yamru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam l'omei almaya, yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudusha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'yamru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'yamru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the author of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort all who are bereaved here and everywhere with God's blessing of peace. Amen. You may be seated. Except for you, Karen. I'd like to invite up a past president of our synagogue and a co-chair of our Israel committee to deliver welcome, greetings, and some announcements.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Wow, that was good. So I'm like a proud mother, you know, when you've really worked hard on something and then here it is. So first I want to say, again, to the Zen family, thank you for, for your love and for your generosity to make all this possible. This is an exciting night for those of us who care and love about relationships and about Israel to begin to form this partnership and with these really an incredible congregation. They're small, but they're mighty. And so I think it's really extraordinary. And I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that, like every good spouse, credit goes where credit's due. And truly, this is because of Mark and his love, and particularly in his vision and his tenacity to build this partnership. So to you, thank you, sweetie. I added sweetie to that. Did you hear that? It's on the record. Make sure you know that. So as always, you have your announcements, and I'm going to call your attention just to one because I want to talk about a few other things. Tomorrow night, you know that we have our annual fundraiser, and it is, pre-registration is closed, but walk-ins are certainly welcome. So for those of you coming to Shalom Fest, you can still come if you haven't planned to. And Monday night at 8 o'clock, Rabbi Davis will be doing a teaching about Pirkei Avot, and it's in memory of our beloved Rabbi Jolt, who was with us for so many years. How many years, Charles? 25 years. We got to hear Rabbi Jolt, and he came here to retire, and he really sort of didn't retire. So anyone who wants to come on Monday night and hear Rabbi Davis talk, that would be wonderful. So how many of you, this is a test, if you're 18 and older, and I think I'm looking around, most of you are, have voted in the World Zionist Congress election already? Okay, I don't see Craig in here, but Craig, is Craig here? I want to make sure you're taking note of this. Now, by the end of the evening or in the next week, I hope that every hand goes up. So every 5 years, North American Jews have an opportunity to influence what happens in Israel. If you're not a citizen, you can't vote in the Israeli elections, but you can vote in the World Zionist Congress elections. It's every 5 years the Congress is held in Jerusalem. It's not only policy decisions, but it is a lot of funding. And we want the reform movement in Israel to get a lot of attention and a lot of funding. And most importantly, the number of votes that we get determines how many delegates the reform movement sends to the Congress. And this is so unbelievable. 2 of the people on the slate who could go are our own Rabbi Pomerantz and Rabbi Loibin. And so if we can get enough, then they will both attend the Congress representing Reform Jewry in North America. But you have to vote. And the voting is in the lobby. If you can't vote now, then please, Craig, raise your hand. Craig is doing an amazing job of staffing this, and he will take your email, he'll call you, he'll do anything. It takes about, who's done it? It takes about 7 minutes maybe? Am I close? 5 minutes, okay. And so there's no excuse not to vote and to show your support. So I'm going to ask you to do that. Do it for me and do it for Rabbi Pomerantz and Israel. And then finally, this partnership that we have launched tonight is so special. And we invite your ideas about how you want to create the partnership. And one of the things we really hope is when you go to Israel, that you will go to their congregation and you will go to Shabbat dinner at their homes, and you will begin to learn about this community. It's really important. You heard Rabbi Shavit speak, but what I want to tell you is you're in for a treat, because when our services are over, we're going to have an Israeli oneg shortened. That's your cue to go out and get your food quickly, and then we're going to sit and have a salon-type discussion and a question and answer for our two guests. And we're particularly going to hear from Professor Dr. Anthony Luter, who is extraordinary in his own right. He is not only a leading pediatrician in Israel and a leader of the Reform movement as a lay leader, and has some amazing stories to tell. So your charge is to go out and vote quickly, or give Craig your name, and get your food. And I understand there's baklava, maybe? Yes. And then please sit down. Don't leave. We will have you out of here, I promise, by 8:15, so you can go eat or face the traffic again, which is terrible. So anyway, I want to thank also Rabbi Pomerantz for her love and her desire to make this partnership. And so with that, I say Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Karen. So we are going to conclude our service with prayer for peace, Oseh Shalom. I invite everybody to please rise.
And I'm going to call up Vanessa Ressler to help me with Oseh Shalom.
Oh, great.
And I also just thought to show you, I thought you might be interested in light of our service tonight, that these are a collection, a 2-volume collection put out by the American Conference of Cantors that contains some beautiful melodies. We've been very influenced in American synagogues by the melodies of the communities, the liberal communities in Israel. So many of the works that you heard me sing tonight come from these volumes. It's amazing what's going on, also how influenced we are. So, Oseh Shalom, we hope that you'll sing this other beautiful melody from Israel.
Oseh Shalom ben Ramah, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'iznu Amen.
Once more.
Oseh Shalom ben Ramah, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'imru
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shall we go to dinner soon?
How did Neely do?
No, thank you.
Come on, Mama.
Give me, Neely. Give me. Hello.